Hello, chat. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I was working on. Sorry. Uh, um, was working on some stuff here, so I apologize for that. I look very round today. Well, what days do I not look very round? What days do I not look very round? Yes, 5 minutes late. Well, just if it makes you feel any better, chat. I'm sitting here and my phone lights up, and my mom goes, "You're late!" So my mom's out there making sure I know that I'm not on time. So thanks, Mom. I was busy hand slicing deli meats. No, I was actually getting ready for tomorrow. I got a big day tomorrow. So this show's going to be kind of short, maybe like 90 minutes tops. I know some of you guys are going to be sad about that. But I got shit to do in the morning. It's kind of important. It's going to be a big old long fucking day. So that's why. That's why. Let's see here. What else do you guys have? Tim Pool, Civil Beanie Warlord says, "That's it? I'm unsubscribing, Sean! Sean, you hear that?" For being late, will I blame you guys, chat? God damn it, chat! Will I blame StreamYard? Will I blame Mom Donnie and the communists? Hey, the communists are always behind something. Or all the above. Maybe all the above. Maybe all the above. Oh. Yes, the content lasagna is correct, yes. This would be literally content lasagna, just layer after layer after goodness. Yes, welcome to the show, everyone. My guests tonight are Ethan Ralph fighting out of the blue corner. And then fighting out of the red corner, Nicholas Requeda. That would be fun, yes, oh my god. We'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how that goes, man. I mean, I don't know. You guys can watch that Alyssa clip and, somebody got big dogged off that stream. And it wasn't Ethan Ralph. I'll just say that much. I'll say that much. I was waiting for Ralph to go, "You look like someone walked over your grave." Because that's basically what happened. Air Dude says the mods deleted my post. I don't think they have. YouTube may delete shit. But we don't have anything otherwise. As long as you're not fed posting or spamming, I don't care. Let me see here. Just trying to catch everybody up here. Yes, he's a communist! Alright, so real quick, Mr. Squiggles has been a member for 37 months. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of time, man. 3 years. 3 years. And he says, N. Stephen Cooper for $2 says, I. John Coleman for $2 says, "Are you this late to court?" No. No, I try to make an effort to be at minimum 5 minutes early, if not 10 minutes early. But like this week on Monday, I was like 45 minutes late because there was a massive wreck on I-90, and I had to. I was at a spot where there's no parallel road, and I had to drive through an entire town to get ahead of the wreck. So, but I wasn't the only one late. The magistrate for that hearing was also stuck in the traffic jam, farther up, and couldn't get off at the exit. So, when I called the court, I'm like, "You're not going to believe this," and they're like, "What? The wreck on 90?" And I was like, "How did you know?" And they're like, "The magistrate's stuck in it." And I'm like, so, pulled over on the side of the road, and we had a video hearing while the magistrate was sitting in her car. Kind of fun. Kind of fun. Kathy, your realtor that lives in New Jersey, chat. New Jersey, not the Channel Island of Jersey. Remember, guys, if you're looking to buy, sell, lease, rent, do a fee simple subject to complete divestment. You want to do a fee tail. You want to do a life estate. Whatever it is. Tenancy in common. Whatever you may want to do. Whatever goofiness you want to do. If you want to engage in the right of season in the state of New Jersey. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Kathy is your person to go to. She will help you with the real estate stuff. So remember, chat, it's free real estate. Kathy is your person to go to for $20. Kathy says, hi all, I'm here to list your homes in Bergen, Passaic, and Morris counties in New Jersey. Yes. Yes. And guys, that's I think that's where Joe lives, is up that way. And if you guys are from Rio Linda, the counties of New Jersey, they are, hold on here, where did that pop up? The counties in New Jersey, they are pretty straightforward. There are not that many counties in New Jersey. But if you guys are wondering where you're going, if you're looking for Kathy and you're looking to eject out of the state of New Jersey, here is where Kathy works. Right here. She is in Morris, Bergen, and Passaic counties, all in New Jersey. That is where you can find Kathy. I want my screen to load up there. But anyways, that is where you could find her. And if you guys don't know what that translates to on the Google Maps, well, we can bring that up real quick so you guys understand what you're kind of dealing with there. Because it's, you know, it's all about being on the map, on the map, on the map. You know, and it's funny enough, it's this area of New York, or I mean New Jersey. And it's funny enough, if you zoom in far enough, I just saw this. It's the town Ethan Ralph founded. Suffering. Suffer. Oh my god, that sounds like a horrible place to live. The town is suffering. Oh no. Oh no, chat. No, don't do that. But thank you, Kathy. Hope you're doing well. T-Rex and Crypto Travel says, for $4.99. I mean, who would have thought that New York City would have made the stupid decision possible and elected an actual communist? I know, a blue city like New York City electing communists. You're like, shock Pikachu face. Also, are we going to read that misgift thing tomorrow? Yeah, we're going to take a look at that tomorrow for the Thursday night show. That will be kind of fun to take a look at. Shredder S 07. It's been a member 16 months. Thank you for that support, man. He says, gee. And Jefferson Post says, so New York City goes full commie, or is this the Iran play? Yes. Although, hold on one second, chat. Oh, but yes and yes. All right, guys, so let's get started here. Let's get started. Blue states remain blue. Imagine my shock. To be fair, it wasn't, New Jersey we made a good stab at, but in Virginia we got our ass kicked. The Republicans got their ass kicked. Winsome Earl Sears got her ass whooped. The other races, lieutenant governor, there was a big old fucking L. The attorney general, there was a big L. So there were a lot of losses in Virginia. Virginia was probably the more viable option that was out there. So the idea that, it doesn't matter. No, it kind of matters, Jack. Kind of matters. But yes, Abigail Spanberger, the CIA glowy. Like, really, she was a CIA field officer. Yes, a glowy now is the governor of Virginia, which is great. Sweet Tooth says, did I watch the Captain Steve video I sent you? Yes, I did. And those guys in Louisville were toast. As they were taking off, that engine collapsed, and they had no other option but to take off. It's too late to stop. They had crossed the point of no return. So, yeah, that's rough. It's rough. Killbilly says, don't worry, chat. All the right-wing talking heads will still tell you that voting works. I mean, I haven't said anything yet, but for now. Oh. There was a lot of damage in local elections. I don't know. Maybe. Jordan says, where was Scott Pressler? I don't know, but Scott's been busy, man. I mean, Scott turned around Pennsylvania, and at some point, this is poor campaigning. So there's only so much people like him can do. Zero Fuck says, you win some, and you lose some. But Young Black Economist says, suffer Republicans. No, there is suffering tonight, yeah. Virginia was the one that could have been won. As far as like losing New Jersey, it's like, blue state stays blue. And then in New York City, it's like, oh, wow. Like, oh no. Like, it is rough there, though. Did the Virginia Attorney General guy put an open hit out on his opponent? No, he didn't put out a hit. It wasn't like him saying, I want them dead. I want their family dead. I want their house burned to the ground. No, it wasn't that. Did he say some shit that was really bad? Yeah, and really fucking nasty? Sure. But it wasn't like him actively putting out a hit. So. Winston was a horrible candidate. Nah, she wasn't. I think they just did a horrible job at working on that and laying the groundwork. It is weird, though, in Virginia, your governor is only elected for, like, one term. But they run for more than, like, 4 years at a time. It's a weird way they do stuff. Weird way they do stuff. I will be voting for the needful. Oh. Let me see here. I'm trying to catch up on things here. Yes, in New York City's majority imports now. It is. And Kurt says, how did New Jersey turn out? Guys, Kurt from Uncivil Law. The Democrats still control the gubernatorial seat in New Jersey, which isn't a surprise. Hope you're doing well, Kurt. Hope you're doing well. Guys, if you guys want to check out Kurt over at Uncivil Law, he covered the tariff oral arguments today over in the Supreme Court. And from what I was able to listen to on Kurt's channel, but also from some of the Twitter accounts that were following it, did not sound like a good day for the Trump administration. Sounds like they're probably going to lose, which, it sounds like there's ways to deal with that going forward, so. Let me see here. This was never a law channel, yes. And then real quick, guys, we got to get to this yet. Unhung Hero for 20 subs. Let's go, chat. Let's go tonight. Let's go. It's a big freaking night. And the funniest thing of all is when I got home tonight, after getting ready for my stuff for tomorrow, I come walking in the door and Clyde's sitting there with 2.0. And he's sitting on the couch, and he stands up, and he sits down, and he just, the biggest stretch, and he lets out the biggest woo. And I was like, he wastes these on us. You don't get to share these with you, and it would have been a monster, a woo. But I think it's Clyde's way of saying, no, you fools, it's for you to enjoy privately, which I guess. I was really sad because it was a monster woo, and you guys didn't get to see it. But thank you for your support and your generosity. Guys, if you got a sub from him, please tell him thank you so much. So. All right, guys. So I guess we'll start off where it goes. Yeah, Clyde hates us. I mean, he doesn't hate everybody. He just hates you. All right, guys, so we'll start off with kind of some of the obvious stuff here. The city of New York. Well, actually, there's a couple different things that happened. So one of the, there are a couple different big mayoral elections that were going on. One was in New York City. The other one was in Minneapolis. But, yes, Zohran Mamdani did win the election in New York City. And he did better, he didn't win. I mean, he won. A win's a win. I was surprised that he Like, he got 52% of the vote. I thought he was going to win by like a lot more. Like, I really thought he was going to crush Cuomo. Like, he still won, but I really thought he was going to like just BTFO them really good. I mean, he won by over 10 points. And if you guys didn't see that, like, yes, he won by quite a bit. But ultimately, there's, this is actually a good example of what to do here. But he beat out a couple different people. He beat out Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York. He beat out this guy, Curtis Sliwa. And if you guys are like, who the hell is this dude? What did he do here? He is a leader of a group called the Guardian Angels. They were kind of like a vigilante group back in the 80s that would like ride around on subways and stuff and were meant to like, you could be like, these guys were around, it was safe, you weren't going to get attacked and mugged. So that's why you're like, is he, because somebody asked me, like, what's this guy's deal with his beret and everything? That's their shtick. Now, kind of what happens when you turn into a vigilante group. Your group kind of gets a little heavy-handed when they handle things. So, yeah, that's actually something that's happened before with his organization. But they kind of didn't become as important after a while. And it's been a long time there, but ultimately that's how they work. There are a lot of funny things, though, as far as things with Mamdani. And if you guys haven't seen him before, yes, he's the guy famous for, he's like, I eat rice with my hands because I'm like a savage. And there are a lot of people who think like he's going to take off and go after all the billionaires and go, full on commie with things. There are some very awkward pictures of him. Kind of one of the biggest ones here is this one. You're like, that's a little weird. Alex Soros. If you guys don't know who this guy is, obviously this is Mamdani. This is Mamdani right here. And this is Alex Soros. And if you guys don't know, Alex Soros is the son of George Soros. So it's like, well, I'm sure he's really going to go after the billionaires when he's hanging out with them after he wins. Yeah, isn't that kind of funny how that works? It's like all these guys claim to be communists and socialists, but it's all a scam. It's like it's all a scam. Isn't that funny? Ain't it funny how that works? I like this guy's comment, though. He says, Grok explained the irony, but in an extremely posh manner. But yes, Zoran Mamdani's like, no billionaires! Well, except for this one. And there is somebody here it's definitely worth, somebody I don't think who they understand what's going on here. But yes, Mehdi Hassan, the journalist at MSNBC, but also the, it really makes you wonder what this guy's true loyalties are. But yes, here he goes, yes.
Let me say this. The billionaires spent a ton of money to stop Zoran Mamdani. And tonight is not just a defeat for Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa. It's a defeat for Bill Ackman. It's a defeat for Reed Hastings. It's a defeat for Michael Bloomberg. It's a defeat for James Murdoch. It's a defeat for the Home Depot guy. It's a defeat for the Walmart woman. It's a defeat for Airbnb. It's a defeat for DoorDash. It's a defeat for all the billionaires who put all that money down, and the 34-year-old socialist beat them all. I don't know how Andrew and...
I mean, like, what do you think this guy did here? He's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Yeah. Yes, and Hassan Piker was at the party and got kicked out, which, suffer, Hassan. Suffer. Bill Ackman supported Mamdani. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm a little confused here. But, yeah, he needs to go back to the UK. Although Sargon's like, we don't want him anymore. And I'm like, I really need to tell Sargon, Sulfa Sargon, he's coming back. He's coming back. Zero Fuck says the other guy has a face like Flight 11. Yeah, he does. Oh, taking up Black says, leave the poor billionaires alone. Oh, so funny. But yes, just listen to all this. Listen to just this bullshit from him.
Chris Cuomo are feeling tonight. Let's put up another graphic that we have about how much money the billionaires spent. You can see how much money Michael Bloomberg and the Estee Lauder family and Bill Ackman were spending in this race to try and stop Zohran Mamdani, and it didn't work. I would say this, by the way. Do you remember how many times they all mispronounced his name?
Oh my God.
I just listened to Tish James. Tish James mispronounced his name as well. But when she does it, it's sweet.
Honest mistake.
Honest mistake. When Cuomo does it, it's deliberate. When Elon Musk called him Mumdoomy today, he tweeted Mumdoomy. Elon Musk called him Mumdoomy.
Oh no, Elon Musk called him Mumdoomy! Oh no! No! I don't really fucking care.
The Caroline Levitt called him Zamdani. Cuomo called him Mandami. Well, guys, you're gonna have to learn his fucking name now.
M-A-M-D-A-N-I.
Zohran Kwame Mamdani. That's the name of the next mayor of New York City.
Yeah, they're gonna learn his fucking name. Yeah, and it's gonna be funny when things go wrong. Whose fault is this? Why did this happen? Why are there people just getting murdered on buses everywhere? Yeah. Yes, Zohran Mommy Dami? No. Yes. Yes, Tyler Archambault says, why are you acting like I wanted my designation? Oh, but yeah, it's just so awful, so awful. Don't get struck by the music. I don't know. That seemed like it was like the gay club music. Somebody gonna say, how do you know it's gay club music, Sean? It's like, shh, shh, shh. You asked too many questions. So, but yes, they're talking shit now, but they're gonna be awful. Was that RTU in the background? No, that was RTU's Muslim cousin. Halal Tech USA. Oh, yes, like Stalin. Everyone knows the name of Stalin. Yes. Yes. Yes, are we going to have to learn to put it on indictments? No, not. No, I'm sure he's just going to get his ass kicked. Oh. So, he is, as he stated, though, there was one thing he did where it was like, you're like, wow, that's, you know, how he did it, and it's, when he said, you know, how this all came about, and...
City, thank you. Last night we made history, and today we begin the work.
He, you know, pointed out that this was a coalition of everything. But yes, if you guys have never heard Mamdani's dad, this is really kind of just so you understand what we're dealing with. This is his dad, and it just gives you a preview of what we're going to here, just so you can understand. As it says in Hamilton, what comes next? Soon you'll see. They're gonna get run into the ground by the commies. Yes, they will. But here we go. This is Zohran's dad.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the US put Indians in reservations. The US invented the model.
Did we? So we invented the model that they ended up not using because they didn't do reservations. They just started murdering everybody. So yeah. But
America
anyways, when you guys think about it and understand this, Zohran Mamdani's dad is from Uganda, and the Ugandans basically ethnically cleansed his dad and ran him out. And they were Indians who lived there. The British gave him citizenship, and they took him in. And then we gave his dad the opportunity to get an education and build a life. And he will never forgive us for that. And for that, we must be destroyed. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. And yeah. Another L for Uganda. They couldn't stick the landing. So there you go. I was going to say, yes, the Romans were pretty good at basically wiping out tribes. They basically said assimilate or die. But yes, I'm pretty sure Caesar invented this model when he whipped the Gaulois. Yes. The Battle of Alesia. What was that? The blueprint. Yes, America invented slavery. They did a lot more than that. Yeah, we just perfected it. So there we go. That is just so you understand what you're dealing with. That just gives you an idea of what we're looking at, what we're dealing with, and this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So, and then this is what he did today. So here is Mamdani with his newest video out that came out today.
Good morning, New York City. Thank you. Last night we made history, and today we begin the work of making a new administration. Welcome to the transition. This is the period over the next few months where we build a city hall that delivers on the promises of our campaign, to make New York City affordable and to make government accountable to the people it serves. As we prepare to govern, we'll start announcing the leaders who will help implement our agenda. People like deputy mayors who oversee entire areas of government, and the commissioners who carry out the critical work of city agencies. These appointments will be driven by excellence, integrity, and hunger to solve old problems with new solutions. Talking to organizers on the front lines of the fight to improve our city, government veterans with proven track records, policy experts from around the country and the world, and working people who know better than anyone what our neighborhoods deserve. And this will be a period, like the campaign we ran and the city hall to come, defined by transparency. Because New Yorkers deserve a government they can trust. On January 1st, I will be your mayor. New Year's Day, and a new era for this city. Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again.
So the reason why he said stop sending money, New York City has a unique thing where they help fund you. If you're running for office as part of with their public, if you're running for office, the city helps fund your campaign. It's meant to allow people who are smaller to have a chance against people like Michael Bloomberg and whatnot. So, but yes, for a while he said stop sending us money. Well, now he's saying send us more money.
This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. And it will be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement. So I hope you'll make a donation at transition2025.com. Now let's get to work.
Chad, he wants you to transition. He's going to transition the whole city. It's the Manhattan Project 2.0. This time it's for the troons. Yes, the trans dono goal. Yes, he's begging! Dark Side Mondami. Dark Side Zoran. Now, Chad, if there's not enough support, I'm gonna shut off the subway. Oh my god, that was good. Ah! Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm about to piss my pants. Oh. Oh. You guys want to take showers? Yes. We're going to need all the donos for the Transhattan Project. Yes. 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 Let's get 10,000 subs, then the garbage strike, chat. Oh, this would be great. Where's the other one? Yes. Eric, yes. The crime statistics are bugged, chat. Oh, they're all bugged, chat. The devs bugged it. Oh my god. Yeah, Joe McCarthy is turning in his grave. I know, he was right. But the thing is, Joe McCarthy's always been right. Yes. If we hit the goal. Yes. If we hit the goal, chat, we can do breadlines. New York City tries it. Oh my god, that's so funny. So yeah, that is there. Yes, this poisoned water is tangy. Do you think Mom Donnie will play Freebird? Oh no, chat. So it's moving on from there. There was another election where at first you're like, okay, this is based. But when you stop to think about it, you're like, it's a bit fucked up and Overton windowy that we think this is based here. But this is the Minneapolis mayoral race. Jacob Frey or whatever, I don't know what you call him. He beat Omar Fateh, who I'm obvious if you guys can't tell, this is Jacob and this is Omar. I'm sure it was very confusing. You're not sure who was who. I'm not sure, you couldn't tell who was who there on this, but anyways, yes, the current mayor won and defeated the Somali. Took him out like he was a DevGru sniper on the Maersk, Alabama. Just took him out, chat. Now that's the funny thing. We're like, wow, that's base, but in reality, this guy basically sat there and watched Minneapolis burn from George Floyd and hasn't done anything to stop it. Let the city turn into a shithole. So, yes, he's a little better than this guy, but they're both really bad. So, yes, if you had to choose, would I choose this guy over this guy? Sure, I'd rather have this guy win. But the problem is, okay, now this guy's gone. Now we're dealing with this guy who's really fucking bad. So, it's kind of one of those deals where you're like, I don't really think we ended up getting what we wanted out of that. I don't think we got what we wanted out of this one here. Zero Fucks is on color alone, sure, but yes, that's about it. This is the problem. And this is the beauty of it all. Okay, instead of getting the actual, hardcore communists, we just have the progressive now that won. So you're like, well, it's not as bad, which, that's correct, but it's still really bad. It's still really bad. So, yeah, it's a lesser of two evils, but the lesser is still really fucking evil. So, good job. Good job, Minneapolis. You are the captain now. Yes, thank God we got Lenin or Trotsky and not Mao. Yes, thank God. It's good to see you, Zero Fucks, as well. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, there we go. That's kind of the start. That's the starting things there. Jefferson Post says, in Massachusetts, a governor's aide booked for 7.8 kilos of cocaine. Yes. And I finally have the recording for the show. I'm going to put that up for the last Thursday show that got taken down. Because we went straight up. We kept going on Rumble. We'll put that up and air it so you guys can see it and watch it. But yes, one of the aides for the governor of Massachusetts had cocaine shipped to his office in a government building. Which, hey, that's a great way to avoid danger by being right next to it. And then Kathy, your realtor who's still living in New Jersey, says, is it true Mom Dami bragged that he voted for himself on the socialist line? You want to hit the like button? Yeah, he's openly talked about all the socialism before and doing all this fun stuff. So, once again, New York, you're going to have a fun time. Fun time out there. John Coleman says, for $2, will I get thrown off a roof in New York City now? Possibly. I mean, he has had pictures of him hanging out with people who have cheered on September 11th and all kinds of other nasty people he's associated with. So, yes, very possible. Very, very possible. Although more likely he'll just get shoved onto the train tracks, but that we'll all have that problem. Unforced Ego for $20 says, I live in Virginia. Jones' text obviously wasn't going to hurt him. The average Democrat feels the same way. See Charlie Kirk. Also, rip my Second Amendment rights. I'm sorry you live in Virginia, man. That does suck. But yes, he did say that he wished violence on them, but he wasn't, like somebody said it was putting out a hit. No, but it was putting out violence, and apparently they're okay with that. And remember, as Sam Hyde said, these people want you dead, they want your family raped, and they laugh about it, and they think it's funny. They do. They want that for you. Great Loner's been a member for 2 months. Thank you. Says, the 19th Amendment and its consequences. Yes. Never-ending consequences, chat. Never-ending consequences. Unforced Ego for $10 says, why are prominent commies always rich kids who have never had a real job? Because Karl Marx was a rich kid who never had a job. Well, he was poor and mooched off people, but he never had a job either. But that's how it always works. Makes you go, doesn't it? I think so. And then Kathy again, your realtor living in New Jersey, Joyzy, says that they have such disdain for the United States. Did they come only to destroy? Yes. Yes, they did. They are revolutionary communists. They only have one goal. Destruction. Zero Fuck says, if we only skipped amendments like we were skipping floors on the elevator, well, very funny. Tachyon Black says the communist wins, immediately mandates transitioning. Yep. The Meme Copium says, New York City, yes. It's like the Steel Toe Morning Show. Yes. Streamlabs, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Maybe that's what Aaron's going to get hired as a consultant by Mom Donnie. Aaron, there you go, buddy. You want to go make some money? Be a consultant. Oh, that would be good. Mr. Mom Donnie, Mayor Mom Donnie, have you ever heard of super tips? Oh my god. Shifty Fives says, hey Sean, hope you're doing well. Well, thank you. I am doing well. I hope you're doing well too. Einbrecht for 5 Canadian loonies, or 2.5 toonies, says, the transition, the toucan bioweapon confirmed. Yes, very true. Malcolm Combs says, could someone with access to an AI generator make one of him instead of Phil cranking it? That would be funny. the camera's been on the whole time. And then Stephen Cooper says, what will we call the right-wing weather underground, Sean? I can't wait to return the 1970s pipes of peace. Well, you have to be careful because remember, if you're at the militia meeting and you know you're not the Fed, you're the target. So be careful. Be careful. Jefferson Post says, who's laughing about the hidden Jew tunnels now? Very true. Very true. Joe and Ron Coleman are going to be marked safe from the pogroms that the Muslims launch. Justin Hancock says, finishing up a response to a motion for summary judgment. Hail to Sean. Hail to chat. Thanks for keeping me company. Oh, well, good. Hopefully it's a banger. Hopefully it's a banger. Hopefully survive that summary judgment. Unless you're doing a reversal and going, no, it is you who should have summary judgment. Maddie B says, remember the 5th of November. Yes, chat. Well, if you happen to be a Catholic who wished that Guy Fawkes had ushered in a Catholic theocracy into England, yes, Guy Fawkes was your man. So it's very funny when people celebrate him because, you know, what he did. It's like, but yes, today is the 5th of November, the gunpowder plot. So yes, remember the 5th of November. Mysterious Senior Hitler says, the best part of last night was watching Hassan get felt in real time by Mamdani and kicked from the party. Yes. They don't like dog abusers, chat. That's the thing. No one likes people who abuse fucking dogs. Nobody does. I don't care who you are. No one likes a dog abuser. No one likes a dog abuser, and that's good news. I mean, that is the one thing I can say. Even Hitler liked dogs. And if you hate dogs, you're worse than Hitler. Think about that. Think about that, chat. Think about that. Think about that. Nick Curtis is a bad example. No, it's the perfect example. Perfect example. Yes, even Lincoln liked dogs. Is it Guy Fawkes? Yeah, Guy Fawkes. He, was gonna bomb Parliament and blow it up and usher in a Catholic theocracy and bring Britain back into the fold and acknowledge the papacy once again. As a Catholic, he tried to make God's will be done, and he's an OG for trying it. Lincoln liked logs. Yes, I'm sure he liked logs. Ara Moon says, yes, dogs are haram in Muslim culture. Yes, they are. They're considered unclean animals. Very unclean animals. Yes, Erdogan hates dogs. Yeah, well, in Turkey, they don't like dogs. Like, the average Muslim and Arab does not like dogs, and the Turks are included in that. So... And Patty says, Guy Fawkes did nothing wrong. Yes. So. Air Dude says, how do you unblock somebody? I don't know. I don't block people, so I don't know how to unblock people. So. All right, chat. Moving on, we do have some, now let's get into the Trump stuff and some of the things that have gone on that we need to catch up on here. First thing we're going to get to is the 7th Circuit. Remember, in the 7th Circuit, this is where the judge had been ordering the head of ICE operations in Chicago to show up every day after the end of business and come sit down, and the judge would start asking him questions about what's going on and grill him over things that have been happening regarding the operations that they were undertaking. Remember that she was ordering this. She was ordering them to show up every day. Well, the government sought a writ of mandamus for that. Remember, not mandamin, not mandingo, mandamus, stopping that. Well, the 7th Circuit did jump in And it's very interesting here because they go straight to it. So they talk about what happened here. Well, so there was a writ of mandamus that was filed, and they say that the writ of mandamus was filed on October 30th, and there was a response to this. So here's what they point out here. Ultimately, the chief border patrol agent had to appear at 5:45 every weekday to report on use of force each day. The judge justified this order, stating she had seen videos that led her to question whether the TR was being obeyed. Now notice, this is the judge considering evidence outside of the record. Nobody submitted this. So remember, these things were all done sua sponte, chat. And sua sponte, aside from being the motto of the 1st Ranger Battalion, is Latin for of your own accord. So courts do things sua sponte, they do it of their own accord. Not sous vide. Not sous vide. But notice, the court immediately gets to an issue here. This order was not in response to any motion by counsel for the plaintiffs. And the videos which the judge referred to apparently do not deal with behavior involving any of the plaintiffs. So she's looking at extrinsic evidence, evidence that nobody's offered. Which you're not supposed to do as a judge. You can't be that. You're supposed to only go on what's in front of you. So they point out that the federal defendants seek a writ of mandamus, and they say we issued a stay requiring the chief to appear and report daily. So initially they said, at least for now, we initially stayed that part. Well, now we grant the petition for mandamus. And they go forward here, and they point out that while this presents very challenging circumstances, the district court's order has 2 principal failings. First, it puts the court in a position of an inquisitor. Notice, because every day the judge was going to come in and make him explain things to the judge. And it had to be to the judge's liking. So the judge is put in the position of an inquisitor. Rather, oh, jeez, that was bad. Ugh. Like Helen Keller right there. Jeez Louise. Actually, hold on here. There. Than that of a neutral adjudicator. And they say, second, it sets up the court as a supervisor, which means it's intruding in the personal management decisions of the executive branch. And this isn't just some low-level guy. This is where the judge has talked to this guy and said, oh, you must have some pull in the White House. You know Kristi Noem. You know Todd Lyons. You know all these people. You know Trump. Yeah, so now we're really drawing into this. We're wading into things here. So now we're dealing with, they're pointing out, this is all Article 2 stuff. They're pointing out this is all Article 2 things here. You can't do that, Judge, because you're not Article 2. You're Article 3. And they say these 2 problems are related and leads to conclude the order infringes on the separation of powers. You know, and it's amazing that me, a simple, humble guy from flyover country, Ohio, could figure this out. And Judge Sarah Ellis, you know, apparently we had to bring her in from Canada. But yes, Judge Sarah Ellis, who went to Loyola University, has her fancy law degree. Apparently she could figure this out, but I did. As a simple schmucky lawyer. You thought I was Russell Greer signing for a moment? Yeah, I know. Thanks. Jeez. Oof, tough crowd tonight, chat. They also point out that review by appeal at the end of the case would not solve the problems created in the interim, which is true. Like, we can't wait till the end. So they justify review by a prerogative writ. So there you go. So that is a big win there, at least for now, that the Trump administration doesn't have to do what this judge wants, which is good. Yes, she should have to go back, but she won't. She won't. So that is going to be, that's one of the updates there we're getting into. Then we have some other stuff that's happening here. And we are now getting into the Letitia James stuff and the stuff with James Comey. There's these guys, you know, there are some weird things that have happened. There are some weird things that have happened in both cases. And remember, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia is a woman named Lindsay Halligan. And we talked about her and how she's kind of like, she's a little weird, a little crazy. We talked about in the Letitia James case how she somehow got a hold of the signal contact information of a reporter and started arguing with the reporter about the facts in her reporting. And if you guys don't remember that, it's Anna Bauer. It was a person who writes for Lawfare, and she's like, I'm just sitting there minding my business, and this lady comes after me. And yes, Lindsay Halligan just started bawling out one of the reporters from Lawfare, and this is a thing that it's not like this 100% happened. She sent a bunch of messages to this reporter. She went on and on and on and on and on about this. And this was something published in Lawfare. And, she says, the way Lindsay Halligan started off is, Anna, Lindsay Halligan here. Like, you could tell this is already going to be just straight up, just cringe and gay. But why did this person have to get involved? And acts as the reporter, get that info to James. I don't have a problem with that. The U.S. Attorney should not be out there fucking arguing with reporters like that. Your job is to enforce the law. And if your job is to put Letitia James in a fucking prison cell, put her ass in a prison cell. If your job's to put James Comey in a fucking prison cell, put him in a prison cell. I don't give a shit if you're arguing with the reporters. I don't want you for doing that. I want you putting motherfuckers, like, if we're doing this nobody's above the law shit, make sure nobody's above the law. Arguing with the reporters doesn't do anything. Why would she do this? Because she's a fucking idiot. That's why. That's why. And yes, this is true. This is especially true of Trump. He picks people, sometimes it's about how loud you say he's awesome. And so he puts people in like Lindsay Halligan, which I have no problem with her being a hatchet man and like being, a torpedo man in there going to sink Letitia James and James Comey. But like, be a torpedo that has purpose and use and is smart and is properly deployed. And she's not. She's not. Now, yes, she needs to put the fries in the bag. Put the convictions in the prison. So, this is... Yeah, Trump has shitty picks. They're better this time around, but yes, Trump has been that is one of his weaknesses, and I said that the first time around. He got cucked the first time around when Jared and Ivanka sat there whispering in his ear. You had people like John Bolton and H.R. McMaster and all these James Kelly, all these fuckers, James Mattis, General Mattis, General Kelly, all these people fucked him over. So, yeah, they did the needful. Robin Hood says, yes, I want torpedoes that don't drunk text at 2 a.m. Very true. Very true. So, yes, Mad Dog Mattis, give me a break. Yes, Mattis and Kelly were cucks. I know, but Trump cucked himself with all these picks he made. Implied Citizen says, do you think his current courtiers are good? They're better than the first time around. But that's not saying much at times. There are some people who are doing a great job, but a lot of people I'm not impressed with. But there's enough people doing a good job. So, shower texting under the influence, yeah. That's basically what happened. This U.S. attorney started shower texting a reporter. And you're like, brah. So anyway, the first case that we're going to talk about real quick is the one with James Comey, the scumbag former director of the FBI, who... Hold on one second. Okay. Can you guys hear 2.0 singing out there? Because I don't know if she knows that. Like, I'm trying to tell her, like, they can hear you. So, if you guys know, don't yell at 2.0. Like, I don't know if she knows you. Like, I can hear her through the headphones, which means you guys could probably hear her singing out in the background. It's like, and I can't throw anything because I don't have a clear line of sight. Oh, you guys can't hear her? Okay. I can 100% fucking hear her. So. She's gay. Well, I hope not she's gay. I don't want that. I want her to be straight as fuck. Ara is saying, what is she singing? Songs. She's singing all kinds of stuff. All right. So, anyway, with the Letitia James, with the James Comey case, he is being prosecuted for lying to Congress. And this is where part of the allegations regarding the vindictive prosecution and whatnot, there's other things that have been decided as well. There's other things that are being alleged here that the appointment of Lindsay Halligan violates the appointments clause and that she wasn't properly nominated and confirmed, but also different statutes which allow for appointments of interim U.S. attorneys. So there's a couple things that are going on here. So they talk about on October 28th, the judge here, and this is an order, guys, so that's why he says the undersigned. The undersigned entered an order directing the government to submit for in-camera review all documents relating to the indictment signer's participation in the grand jury proceedings, along with complete grand jury transcripts. An indictment signer means Lindsay Halligan. She's the one who signed the indictment. So the judge wanted to see for in-camera review her participation in the grand jury, along with grand jury transcripts. Now, remember, the court doesn't retain that stuff. It's the prosecution that retains grand jury information. So, on Halloween, the court received Halloweener. They received the transcript of the grand jury proceedings of September 25th. The court reviewed the transcript and finds it fails to include remarks made by the indictment signer both before and after the testimony of the sole witness, which remarks were referenced by the indictment signer during the witness's testimony. They say, in addition, the package contains no records of transcripts regarding the presentation of the 3-count indictment referenced in the transcript of the return of the grand jury indictment proceedings. So they're like, the judge is saying, like, I don't have the records you're supposed to give me. So he says, accordingly, the government has to submit by today, November 5th at 5 p.m., a complete transcript and or recording of all statements made by Lindsay Halligan to the grand jury, and is to include statements made prior to and after the testimony of witnesses. Because the prosecutor will talk to you before and after a witness testifies. There aren't a whole lot of rules to a grand jury and how you go about presenting things. But yes, during the presentation of the 3-count and then later the 2-count indictment. So that is going to be a little interesting here that we can do that. Now, some people, somebody asked me before, what does this whole thing here mean? Well, we're in the Eastern District of Virginia, but the judge was out of town. So he was in Columbia, so he's like, you can do this over the phone or through there. Cat Williams, says Zoran has a song on SoundCloud. Oh my God, I bet it's garbage. In case anyone missed it. I think a lot of us missed it. I think a lot of us are happy to know we missed it till you brought it up, Kat. Jefferson Post says, I assume a proper record is a requirement for the grand jury. Yes. Grand jury must have either a court reporter sitting there, doing tippy-tappy, tippy-tappy, tippy-tap on the court reporter thingy, on the little typer, or it has to be recorded. This is something that we're dealing with in the Mickey Steins case. He's that sheriff down in Kentucky who walked up and just went to the judge behind his desk. There's issues about whether or not the grand jury proceeding was properly recorded and documented and memorialized. So yes, it is critical that happens. If it doesn't happen, that's highly suspect. And if it isn't, those are going to be times where I'm going to have to sit there and say, guys, sorry, we're going to have to dismiss it. Like, if it's not properly done, there's sometimes that's the only remedy. And it's a little frustrating if that's the case because, these people are fucking up some of the most basic things that are out there as it goes. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not, I don't know, guys. Remember I told you, no matter what happens, I think James Comey is going to get acquitted because you're going to have to find a jury full of all these governmental workers who are going to convict James Comey. I don't think that's going to happen anyway. The sad part is he has to be tried in the Eastern District of Virginia because that's where the offense occurred. But they are not going to find anybody who will convict him, so it's going to be a big L for the government regardless of what happens here. So, whether or not it gets that far, I mean, I don't know. I told you guys. Like I said, I'm not holding out on that. And it does sound like Lindsay Halligan here has kind of fucked things up. And what does this mean ultimately? Well, if James Comey walks, I mean, is that the end of the world in general? No, but it does cause problems for other prosecutions, like Letitia James's prosecution. Or, more importantly, somebody like John Bolton, who is 100%, they caught him and they got him dead to rights. But now the government's fucked around with all that stuff. And now by fucking around with it, that cast a pallor, like there's, it puts a pall on this entire case. Every case then gets tainted by it. And you're like, I don't know why I said pallor. God, that's not even a fucking word. Ooh, that was retarded. I mean, cast a pall on everything that happens. So that's why I don't like this. Very upset about it. So you only get so many strikes during jury selection. Well, during grand juries, that's not the issue. It's a little different during the grand jury. Pallor is a word. Is it? I didn't think it was. Is it? Oh, yeah, it is pallor. I thought it was. I was thinking something whatever to spell it. Yeah, pallor means pale skin. God, why am I fucking? I'm having a day today, Chad. Let me tell you, I'm having a day of just derp alert a burp burp. Let me tell you what. I don't know. I'm having a day, Chad. Thank you for correcting me. Oh. I don't know. It's tough doing live TV. Yes, Chet Manley is correct. The Northern Virginia and D.C. area are all hardcore Dems. Not even that, it's just they're government workers, too. They could have a video and a confession and they won't convict. That's what I mean. At the end of the day, they will do this to spite the orange man. So, ultimately, that's the problem here. Probably decreasing testosterone levels, causing brain fog. Thanks, Stacy. Quit taking Tylenol. Well, no, I like it. It tastes good. Now, what happened after that? Well, there was a notice from the Lindsay Halligan in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they came right in. And this is kind of the update here. And they're like, Judge, we did it. We did the thing you asked. Finally, it's like this is. I still don't understand how they fucked up with that, but okay, so they did. So they said notice of compliance with judicial order, and this is not abnormal. You say, look, Judge, we complied, we filed it. That way, you can just say, look, we did it. You document it for the record. So they sent all the documents relating to the signer's participation, along with complete grand jury transcripts. They say the subsequent order additionally requested the recording from the presentation. Upon receiving this order, the government immediately contacted the service and requested the complete recording. This is something, the remainder of this page left intentionally blank. Further, the government requested the transcription service transcribe the entire recording, which had not been done previously. This new transcript was provided. The above items have now been provided to the court in compliance with the court's orders. Signed, Tyler Lemons. Notice, chat, his N. Lemons. And funny. Oh, there we go. So they did provide it. They did ultimately get to it. But we'll see. Like, I don't know. Like I said, this Lindsay Halligan bitch is making this shit so hard. She's intentionally making it a lot harder than it needs to be. And there's no reason for it. There's no need for her to act this way. But she has, and she's caused some problems. Now, moving on to the Letitia James case. And this is one where I talked about this, where she has been talking, the prosecutor was talking to a reporter, and Letitia James filed a motion which I thought was rightly argued and rightly pointed out that the prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, the United States Attorney, needs to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Yes, she should shut up. She shouldn't be out there talking. She shouldn't be out there doing anything. Do your job. And I fully agreed with the motion from Letitia James, and I thought it was 100% spot on. Well, the court finally ruled on that. Is it litigious or Letitia's? Letitia James. So this is the court actually made an order here on this. As far as things go now, the court went ahead and hold on here. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's perfect. So it's an opinion in order. So they talk about Letitia James filed a motion asking the court to follow local rules and abide, and simple things. Abide by the local rules and abide by professional guidelines regarding disclosing information to the media and the public, which they should. There is a reason they should do all of this, because it's to protect the rights of the accused. And they weren't doing a very good job of that, and it was a little disappointing. So the motion also requests the government to keep a log of any communications between any government attorney or agent and a member of the media. And the court imposed a litigation hold, preventing the deletion or destruction of any records. Now, the government does not oppose the proposal the court issue a reminder to comply with rules and guidelines. However, the government contends any orders should extend to the defendant as well. And that's true. You're not allowed to talk. We're not allowed to talk. And that's something where I actually disagree with. You have every right as a defendant to go out and try your case in the court of public opinion. Remember, if the government's crying about a fair trial, remember, who is entitled to a fair trial? Who is entitled to a jury of their peers? Who's entitled to a fair and impartial jury? Who? To quote Skullface, the defendant. So Letitia James should be allowed to go out there and do it. Crozon Igavolt says, I was engaged, but minor correction. Sua Sponte is the motto of the entire 75th Ranger Regiment, not just the 1st Battalion. I did not know that. I thought each battalion had their own. I thought Sua Sponte was the 1st Battalion. But okay, the entire 75th Ranger Regiment is Sua Sponte. Yes, the state has no right to a fair trial, a jury of your peers. Hey, pears are very good and tasty, so I like pears. Now, they say the government also disputes whether the log is necessary. So what happened? Well, it got granted in part and denied in part. The court will direct all counsel to comply with the rules relevant to their circumstances. And that's fine. That happens in cases, not uncommon. Court just reminds everybody, hey, everybody play by the rules, play nice. Happens a lot. Additionally, the litigation hold is appropriate, given the possibility that discoverable information could be lost due to technological features designed to secure private comms. And it says, however, the defendant does not demonstrate that it is necessary for the court to order the government to track down communications with the media in any particular form. Whoa. So this goes on to talk about all the comments that Lindsay Halligan had made via Signal. Those communications reference grand jury proceedings and were reported to the media. And they say in response, the government highlights the defendant herself made statements to the media about her beliefs regarding the government's motivations and her contention the charges are baseless. And this is where we start. Well, we have rules governing lawyer communications. And it says the motion does not seek a sanction, nor does a ruling of any of the defendant's requests require finding the government engaged in wrongdoing. Now, they say this because here they go on, and they make arguments here, and this is one of them. The government argues its counsel statements were proper because they were made to protect their client from unfair prejudice. I don't care, because the prejudice to the client is the people of the United States. Suffer. Now, they also talk about another filing here, and they talk about the footnote 1. And the footnote 1 covers the status of the government attorney who made the alleged statements is the subject of motion pending before Cameron, McGowan, Curry. And this is the same motion that is addressed by James Comey, that she wasn't properly appointed. Well, the court's going to, this court's saying we'll avoid referencing the role of the attorney in this case. And the court generally does not refer to government attorneys by name. It will not depart from that practice here. So they're just saying we're just doing it like we normally do it. And it says, while the court notes communications described are unusual, it declines to opine on whether they're improper in any sense, either ethical or legal. And I appreciate the court doing that, but they were unethical. They were unethical. They were not proper. She shouldn't have done that. It was not proper here. Now, they say that, but they point out the court orders the government to comply with Federal Criminal Rule 6E2, which prohibits attorneys for the government from disclosing matters occurring before the grand jury. The government attorneys are reminded of their obligations under 28 CFR 50.2b regarding the release of information in news media. And guys, remember, CFR is a code of federal regulations, so it's, all the regulations for agencies. That says counsel for the government may also have professional duties that relate to statements that pose a risk of prejudice to fair criminal proceedings. Now, these professional duties are cited under Rule 3.8. Now, they cite the ABA model rules because not every state has it exactly the same way, but they're all generally based off the ABA model rules. So it was just highlighted as an example. The court orders all counsel to comply with Local Rule 57.1, which prohibits any lawyer, law firm, or law enforcement personnel from making or authorizing extrajudicial statements, being out-of-court statements, or offering any opinion as to the accused's guilt or innocence as to the merits of the case or evidence in the case. And they say subject to their professional obligations. Then there's also Rule 57.1c6. Any lawyers participating may also have an ethical duty to refrain from making statements that pose a risk of prejudicing the proceedings. And that's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Did they say Trump couldn't talk about his case, but Tish wants to talk about hers? Well, remember, that was the judge putting out a gag order. That's a little different. Here. Because remember, that's not saying Tish can't talk about her case, but her attorneys can't talk about the case. There's a difference. Do I think the gag order Trump had from Engeron was illegal? Sure. But nothing we could do about it. And the one from Mercan, was that illegal? Sure. But nothing you can do about it right now. But the idea that the attorneys aren't allowed to talk, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. The attorneys can't talk. I 100% agree with you, though. They talk about the litigation hold. And they say the defendant presents evidence a government counsel communicated with a member of the media using an encrypted messaging app that enables automatic deletion. The court is not asked to decide whether these are or will become discoverable. But in the event such communications take place and are discoverable, or are subject to a judicial termination, it's important the government preserve the evidence of those communications. And they point out, and they're citing Brady versus Maryland. So this could be potential Brady material. And it says that, evidence favorable to an accused upon request violates due process if you don't have it. And they say, accordingly, the court orders a litigation hold preventing the deletion or destruction of any records or comms having to do with the investigation or prosecution here. This shall be in effect until further order of the court. They say, though, however, the court's not persuaded that the preservation of evidence requires such evidence to be maintained in any particular form. The defendant doesn't demonstrate that a communications log is necessary, so the court's not ordering that. The court trusts the counsel will comply with this order without further hand-holding. So this is the judge's way of saying, okay, you guys both suck. Quit being bitches. Now they point out the defendant's statements, and they say, at this stage of litigation, the court does not find that a restriction on the defendant's speech is necessary to ensure a fair trial. It says the court does have the power to control speech, even of defendants, in criminal trials, when necessary to protect the criminal justice process. They're citing the United States v. Trump in the D.C. Circuit. Remember, they allowed him to be gagged in that one. They said, but so far the government hasn't demonstrated that the defendant's speech has risen to the level that it must be dampened in spite of her First Amendment rights. And they say criminal defendants who are presumed to be innocent may very well have a greater constitutional claim than other trial participants to criticize and speak out against the prosecution. And I love this, a criminal law process. They say, therefore, asking to restrict your speech at this point is denied. I don't mind that. I think that's fair. I think that's proper. I just think for right now, ultimately, I think defendants should be allowed to talk. If you want to stop trial counsel from doing it, I don't mind that. But I don't think it's correct the way they want to do it. Let's see here. So that is where we're at. And then real quick, Mad Rhetoric saying, is Ohio screwed yet, or is that next year? That is next year. SAR! We have not been Viveked yet. We have not been H1B'd to death. And then the next thing, guys, this is just one more thing here. This is a very interesting motion filed by the prosecution, by the DOJ. This is kind of like we're going to read this, and I'll translate the title for you. So, this is in the Letitia James case here, guys. And this is the government's notice for reasons for not providing pre-vindictive /selective prosecution motion related discovery. Meaning that is a big fuck you that they're doing. Fuck you! So what is this all about? Well, they talk about on October 24th, the court instructed the prosecution, the government, to provide Letitia James with vindictive /selective prosecution related discovery before she filed a motion. Now, she wants to file a motion challenging it, but she's like, I need the discovery on that first. Well, they're saying the court's instruction is premature as the government bears no such obligation until a defendant overcomes a significant barrier by advancing objective evidence tending to show the existence of prosecutorial misconduct. The standard is rigorous. It's robust, chat. It's robust. And they point out here that, look, we returned a 2-count indictment on October 9th. Her initial appearance in arraignment was on October 24th. Remember, guys, that was like less than 2 weeks ago. And then at that hearing, the court ordered her to file her motion to dismiss by November 7th. It also indicated discovery associated with this motion needs to be front-loaded, meaning all the mortgage fraud and bank fraud and false statements, that should be provided, but immediately you should be providing all the stuff necessary to deal with her now. The defendant's counsel also indicated that he intends to request substantial discovery from the government. And they say that They provide this notice not to provide discovery prior to the motion because the law does not allow defendant to have discovery on the government's decisions until the defendant overcomes the barriers. They say until they do that, the order is premature. And they point out that the Attorney General and the U.S. attorneys retain broad discretion to enforce this nation's criminal laws. They have this wide latitude because they're designated by statute as the president's delegates to help him discharge his constitutional responsibility to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. And it says, this means so long as the prosecutor has probable cause to believe the accused committed an offense defined by the statute, the decision whether or not to prosecute and what charge to file generally rests entirely in their discretion. And that is basically prosecutorial discretion in a nutshell, you guys. That is the yes. But yes, that is entirely prosecutorial discretion right there. And they say, furthermore, because of the broad discretion given and the wide range of factors that may be considered, a prosecutor should remain free before a trial to exercise that broad discretion entrusted to him to determine the extent of the societal interest in prosecution. And they say courts must be cautious not to intrude unduly in the broad discretion given the prosecutors in making decisions. There's also a separation of powers issue. You have executive and judicial. You can't cross the streams. They say, indeed, charging decisions are presumptively lawful. Yes, they are. Now, here's the issue. To do this, you're asking the court to exercise judicial power over the province of the executive. But you have to be supported with a strong showing that overcomes the presumption of regularity and legitimacy. And they talk once again about the significant barrier and it being rigorous. And they point out, why is this rigorous? Because the discovery imposes many of the costs present when the government must respond to a prima facie case of selective prosecution. It diverts resources and discloses prosecutorial strategies. Yes, it can basically disclose work product and, theories of a case. And moreover, examine the basis, delays of proceedings, threatenings to chill law enforcement by subjecting motives and decision-making to outside inquiry. So how far into this do you get to look? Do you get to see the emails between the prosecutor and the detective? There are times where I've told you guys before, when I worked as an assistant prosecutor, you would go back and forth with an officer, hey, we're doing an investigation. We have this, and this. Okay, I don't think we're there yet. Can we do this or can we do that? And I'd say, I like that idea. I don't like that idea. There's a lot that would come into that. Could this undermine effectiveness by revealing the government's enforcement policy? Sure. That could also get revealed. Who are we going after and why? Well, then people could figure out how to avoid governmental, oversight and getting caught. And then they point out Federal Rule 16, a Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure, does not require the government to produce prosecution-related evidence before a defendant files the motion. The rule permits a defendant to discover evidence material to her defense. But defense means the defense against the government's case in chief, not to the preparation of selective prosecution claims. But apparently the Supreme Court's saying that. I don't know if I like that. Because that may be part of your defense. That they shouldn't have been able to bring this in the first place. I'd argue that's a defense against the case itself. And they say Rule 16A underscores the limitation to defense. As it exempts from defense inspection, reports, memoranda, or other internal government documents made by the attorney for the government or other agents in connection with the investigation or prosecution. And that's because it's work product. And that's important. But the defendant does have the right to examine work product at every prosecution except their own. And the work product is stuff that the attorneys have put together on their behalf. So I think that's a fair argument. That is a fair point to make. Remember, this is the government making it, though. So there's some things I agree with. There's some things I don't. But once again, I disagree with this argument here. I don't like this one. If I think you didn't have the right to prosecute me, that is a defense against the case in chief as well. I would argue that. So I agree with a lot of this, but some of these I think are not properly argued. I think those are incorrect. And that's why the order to produce this stuff should be relieved of our obligation to overcome the presumptions. The government's not required to produce this related discovery until the defendant overcomes the presumption of the lawfulness. So this has not been ruled on. This actually, it's a certified hood single, chat. Came out yesterday. So we don't have any information on what's happened here yet. And Takuza, I'd live for the judge to say, listen, bish, Tish, you bish, you ran on prosecuting Trump. She did. And it was allowed, so it looks like I have to go by the standard you set. Oh, I agree. She should be forced to deal with, she should be forced to, she should be hoisted on her own petard. She should be forced to deal with it. She should be forced to suffer, but for now, that's not happening. That's the thing that sucks here. So, Mavka is saying he's been a member for 8 months, says, New York City first, the Midwest next, but he has a lib, to be honest. Yes. Yeah, I mean, they are. But thank you for being here for 8 months. Mysterious Senor Hitler says, are you eventually going to cover how screwed Mizkif will be in Discovery now that he sued Asmongold and Emiru? Pretty sure Asmongold got that good Jew lawyer. Well, that doesn't help. You mean like Ron Coleman good Jew lawyer, or like one of Ethan Klein's Jew lawyers? But no, I need to get that looked into. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night, guys, on the Thursday night show. If you guys are new, by the way, we have a show every Thursday night at 9:30, chat. We talk about all kinds of fun stuff. A bunch of things we're going to talk about. There's Sarah Boone. There are new updates. Drake is getting sued for putting bots on Spotify. Nancy Pelosi is retiring. There is a guy in Britain was sent to prison for possessing the recipe for gunpowder. And obviously they're going to say terrorism, but you're like, is it free speech gnarly? Yes. But that's, we're going to talk about that at 9:30, among some other things there. There's also some developments in the SIG P320 saga with the Air Force. We're going to go through a bunch of that stuff tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern. Hope to see you guys there. Okay, what else we got here? Kelt says, why don't the socialists run under their own party? On the ballot, it just said demo. Well, that is what they do. They destroy, so they're demolition. Shredder S07 for 10 subs. Let's go, chat. And remember, when you donate subs, chat, you donate memberships, this is what you're doing to the Grays. We are making America green again. We are keeping chat green, praying the Gray away, and we're just getting rid of them. So that is what we're doing there. Thank you for your support, your generosity. And guys, remember, if you do have membership, you do have access to all the emojis and all the fun stuff that are out there. Coke Fairy says, and hold on one second. Hi, buddy. Come here. Come on. Come here, Clyde. Come on. I was trying to call him, and he's like, no. Not tonight, fat man. No. 9. He just looked at me, he's like, suffer. It walked away. So, you got to suffer with me, chat. No Clyde tonight. But yeah, Sean calling himself retarded when he was actually not being retarded is well retarded. Yes, well. Yeah. Ag Biochemist says the Rage Pig is going to holler Kane level 5. Oh. Yeah, I will say, watching that clip, that was like a flash of the IBS era, almost like it was a little ember that just had like a little ember that started to glow and then died back out again. But it made you go back to think, what we once had, we were kings, chat, walking the earth. We were, those were the days. Those were the days. AD for $20. Thank you very much. Says, should the Seventh Circuit issue a writ of quo warranto to Judge Ellis asking, what right do you have? Lol. Yeah, well, I mean, I have not been thrilled with all these judges who, it's like, where were they born? Not in America. And they're naturalized citizens, or they get naturalized later. It's like, don't like that. Only natural born U.S. citizens. I don't like them when these judges are like that. It's also like having cops that aren't, natural born. You're like, I don't know about that. But anyways, thank you for the super chat. Tim Pool, civil beanie civil warlord, says, holy shit, robust and tangy. Yes, impossible. I agree. And then AD says, and I'm sorry, AD, if you didn't, I'm sorry, I was taking a second to get to that, so my bad. Shouldn't the Seventh Circuit issue the quo warranto warrant to Judge Ellis saying, what right do you have, lol? Yes, I agree. And also, if I'll make it up, if you put any more comments out there, I'll make sure I highlight them, because you didn't have to redo the thing twice. I understood what you were getting at there. So, just kind of put some chats out there. But thank you. Let's see here. There we go. Had to fix that thing. The Cardi B plaintiff is asking for a new trial. Yes, Chinny. I actually reached out to Emily Baker, and once again, chat, I will say, as far as the people who do this LawTube stuff, Emily Baker, Andrea Burkhardt, Peter Tragos, Ian Runkle, Bob Mata. Bob Mata's not part of LawTube, but he does stuff. Bob Mata, Melanie Little, all those people are phenomenal. I at least know when I message them and I'm like, hey, I have a question about this or that or the other. Hey, you know what they do? They always respond. They're always very nice, very professional, and very helpful. So I will just say that. But yes, I do have access to some of the Cardi B documents. It's a pain in the ass getting them out of LA County. Holy cow, let me tell you. But I do have access to those, and we are going to look at those coming up. But yes, Cardi B is seeking sanctions against the plaintiffs for that assault trial she just had. And the case is starting to fall apart for the plaintiffs. They're starting to get in a lot of trouble. I did mention myself. I know, but I'm talking about the people we normally don't think of that are part of that. But I mean, obviously, Kurt, great. Kurt's always awesome to talk to. But I'm just focusing on the people that are, kind of out there, that are a little bigger out there. Robert Gouveia, yes, Robert Gouveia is great. Anytime I've ever had communication with Robert, like I said, I feel like when I talk to these guys, I feel like I'm the little retarded kid. And they're like, oh, you're doing such a good job, buddy. Been nothing but supportive, very helpful. And I always try to, I hope can help them out at some point. And some of them I have been able to give them information. But, all these people are great. But we do have access, thankfully, thanks to Emily Baker. She has amassed a bunch of stuff out there. Let's see here. What do you guys want to hear? Train. Robert's cool. He's very chill. Yes, he is. Yes, like I said, he's been nothing but great to deal with. Hold on. Oh my god. Okay, meme. I can't show that. I don't know how to get that. I don't know if it'll show over here, but this is um. I don't think this will play over chat, but Meme Copium figured out how to get that Zoran Mamdani thing playing to Freebird. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Todd Butshine says hello. Well, hi. Robert Gavea moves away from the mic when he yells. Yes, he's very good at that. Bruce Rivers. Yeah, Bruce Rivers is really good. I've never had the need to reach out to him. But he does great content. So, and I'd love to be doing the way, like, he's doing it, where he's like, owns an airplane on top of everything and motorcycle and going all over the world. But yeah, no, Bruce Rivers does really good content. I really enjoy it. I love his presentation style. Like, I know some people like, oh, they don't like his politics. I don't really care about his politics. The way he presents legal issues, I very much enjoy for the most part. Mima is saying, Sean, great to see you. Hope you and 2.0 are doing well. Yes, we are. 2.0 is doing very good. Did I shit all over Mondami earlier? Yes. Yes. Brimstone saying the civil rights attorney, John Bryan, was on with Michael Malice. That's awesome. That's awesome. I enjoy John Bryan's stuff. He's very, very good at what he does. And it's pretty cool for him. He's been able to, like, do YouTube as a full-time gig now. And he was able to scale back his practice. I don't know. I think he still practices a little bit. For the most part, though, he does YouTube, which is pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking cool. Yeah, he's giant. No, he's a big son of a bitch in the good way. Yes, Bruce Rivers is the criminal lawyer. He's got the best intro. He does. He's got the best outro too, but when, like, if you represent some rappers, they can do some rapping for you. So, yeah. Let's see here. Mad Rhetoric says, goodbye, chat. I'm going back to the future. Well, have fun. Have fun. You guys are talking about the Sky Bowl? Like, oh my God. Why are we talking about the quartering right now? Why are we talking about the quartering? Brimstone says, I like Bronca. Yeah, I don't mind Bronca. I'm just saying, I was just using names of people. Like I said, that's the great thing about generally with this kind of space, like talking to people. It's great. You can generally get a hold of anybody. And they're pretty cool about it. PH Joy is saying Robert Gavea is great. I haven't seen his show lately. Yeah, he's been doing his show. He's been chopping away at it. So yeah, he's been doing good. Well, let me see here. Let's see here. I'm still your favorite. I teach you chemistry. Well, I teach a lot of things for a rainy day, chat. Teach you guys a lot of things out there that, it's just, things you guys need to know and screenshot and just keep stuff out there, just nothing wrong with that, just making sure you have stuff ready to go. Just planning purposes. Or even better, this. That's all stuff you can just take a look at, chat. Attorney Tom is personal injury stuff is neat. Yes, it is. I've never had the chance to really talk to Attorney Tom, so I assume he's very nice too. I just never had a chance to interact with him. So, Manny B says the Yankee Boogle is more better. Yes, it is, because it only takes like 9 minutes to print at 99% infill. I may have ran that through the slicer just to see how long it would take. Sergeant Jordan says, yes. Write that down, chat. Yes. Write that down.
They licking their pencils right now. Trying to write fierce as they can. Get every word of this here. Get every word of this.
That's right. Get every word. Get every word. Get every word of this here. Oh. Hold on here, chat. No, I think we're all caught up here. No comment on those drawings? I mean, yeah, just they're drawings. They're drawings. They're drawings. That's a nice patio with hot tubs. Yes. I love it how it's like a deck plan. It doesn't say what units of measure. Those are all in inches. Those are all in inches. It's a lightning link. It's done in American, not metric. So PHOA says he's tall and broad. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but not me. Not me. Not me, definitely. It's done in hectares. No, you got to measure it in rods and poles and perches and chains. If you ever read old documents, there were ways they used to measure stuff. Yes, we measure everything in guns per eagle. Correct. All right, chat. All right, we are all done here. I said an hour and a half, and it's like hour 42 minutes. We got pretty close. 527 people watching tonight total. Thank you guys on YouTube, and also the people who are on Twitter. I know you guys are mainly ghosts, but still, thank you, Twitter ghosts. You make me feel good about myself. Like there's a lot of people here. And with that said, chat, I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, we have the Thursday night show, and depending on how my day goes, I might be done early enough. If news breaks, we can do an early show, but probably not, given my luck how it's going to go. So we will do that, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And just remember, until next time, chat, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. And, you know, especially like James Comey, I kind of feel like Lindsay Halligan has fucked the case up. So, like I said, chat, I think he's going to walk. So, good night, chat, and you guys take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy?